As an 8-year-old boy at the Trinityville Primary School in St. Thomas, just a few miles from Morant Bay, the capital, I first heard the name of Three Finger Jack, an outlaw who stages resistance against the system of slavery in eastern Jamaica. This is the legend of Jack Mansong, better known as Three Finger Jack. Welcome back to Elite Jamaica, the place you come to learn about Jamaica and Jamaicans. If it's your first time joining me here, consider subscribing to the channel by clicking that red subscribe button. And do remember to turn on notifications by clicking that bell icon so you never miss any of my updates.
I'm on the mission. Today is the day.
Perhaps the most feared runaway slave in Jamaica during the 1700s was Jack Mansong, popularly known as Three Finger Jack, Jamaica's first infamous badman. A slave who exploits as a guerrilla fighter, starting in 1780 until his death in January 1781, sparked a wave of literary works which kept his legend alive well beyond the shores of Jamaica. Historians say that the very mention of Mansong's name drove fear into the hearts of white plantation owners in Jamaica and those in Britain. He was also the first fugitive in Jamaica's history to have a bounty of £300 placed on his head. During the slavery years, there were many runaway slaves and rebels, but Jack's reputation was legendary, considering that his time as a fugitive lasted less than a year, between 1780 and 1781. The marker mounted in 1978 says of Jack in part, strong, brave, skilled with a machete or musket, his bold exploits were equaled only by his chivalry. He loved his country and his people. He was said to have never harmed a woman or child. But who was Jack Mansong? Where was he born? These are among the questions that continue to haunt students of history fascinated by the legend of Three Finger Jack. Jack Mansong fled the slave plantation and at first hid at a spot at the head of Cane River, but later retreated to the Queensberry Ridge of the Blue Mountains, living in a cave that came to bear his name. He and his band of runaway slaves would lie in wait on the highway in the vicinity of 11 miles where they robbed and killed travelers on the Windward Road that linked Kingston with the eastern part of the island. Believed to be a giant in stature, standing close to 7 feet tall, he would become known as Three Finger Jack after losing 2 digits in a fight with a maroon known as Quashi, who would eventually be credited with killing him. By the end of 1780, the colonial government had become frustrated that all efforts to rid the society of Three Finger Jack had failed, despite the posting of rewards by the British government and the Colonial Assembly. To boost their drive to capture Mansong, the colonists offered full freedom to any slave who would bring the feared rebel to justice, dead or alive. Jack Mansong's short but effective guerrilla warfare ended on January 27, 1781, according to an account in the Royal Gazette of February 3, 1781. The report states that Three Finger Jack was surprised near the entrance of his cave by Quashi, who had converted to Christianity and was now known by the name John Reader, and a small slave boy known as a good shot. Alone and unarmed, he reportedly had time only to seize a machete before being shot 3 times when attacked by Quashi. Mortally wounded, Jack threw himself off a precipice, and surprisingly, Quashi followed. The two engaged in hand-to-hand combat, with Jack putting up a good fight before succumbing to Quashi. The slave boy bashed his head in with a rock and both he and Reader proceeded to cut off his 3-fingered hand and head. Feared as much for his fighting skills and his hobby, Jack, who in his life was the essence of the strong spirit of a freedom fighter, was reduced to a humiliating end. His decapitated head was put on a bamboo pole and carried by his proud victors, followed by a crowd, celebrating as they marched first to Morant Bay and then to Spanish Town to collect the reward of £300. The head and hand of Jack Mansong were preserved for 20 years at Spanish Town. Despite driving fear into the hearts of the colonialists and being branded as a cold-blooded murderer, the exploits of Three Finger Jack were used by anti-slavery activists in England to advocate human dignity for both West Indian and African blacks. So the next time you drive out to St. Thomas from St. Andrew in the vicinity of Bull Bay, be sure to look out for the historic marker in honor of Three Finger Jack. Thank you for joining me again, guys. I really do hope you found this video interesting or informative. If so, please do remember you can subscribe to Elite Jamaica by clicking that red subscribe button. Give the video a thumbs up and turn on notifications so you will always receive my updates. I am Alex. Bless.
I'm on the mission.
A mission.
Today's the day. Start your ignition. Let's take it away.